Hi everyone, Leda here, and welcome back to my channel. I am going to be covering the second part of this 12-part series today of my endo story, basically my journey with endometriosis. If you missed the first part, I went ahead and linked that down below in the description box so you can check that out if you wish. And just basically what you'll find in that video is how it all began. My very first monthly cycle, my period, and just how the pain increased as the years went by, when I had my first surgery for it, and basically the details of all of that. So today, in today's video, I just want to kind of carry on to the next section of my journey after, what I've covered in my first video. I basically had my surgery. After I recovered, went back for my follow-up. I think it was my third or fourth visit after my surgery. My doctor recommended that I go on Lupron. And at the time, I didn't really know much about endometriosis. I just Googled endometriosis and started reading stuff that came up. And I guess maybe at the time the information wasn't so easily searchable. I blindly followed what my doctor was suggesting and telling me, because he was the first doctor that basically took the time to listen to me, to discuss information, give me feedback and reassurance that what I was going through wasn't something that I was making up in a sense, and that we needed to figure out what to do next. I obviously was young and I wanted to have more children, and my husband and I, we discussed like, hey, do we want more babies? And my only child at the time, well, still is my only child, except if you count my four-legged baby, my fur baby. But human babies, I only have one. And so she wanted a sibling. We were like, yeah, we want to grow our family. We want to take the next step. And what should we do? So yeah, he recommended to do Lupron. Go ahead, take this shot. It's a month shot or a 6-month dose. And you can go ahead and kind of slow down endometriosis. He had already explained to me that endometriosis had no cure, and that treatment for it was to either be on birth control, to have a hysterectomy, or to get pregnant. Those were my three options. I already had surgery to kind of calm down, if you will, the issues that I was presenting, which was a lot of pain and a missing ovary and what seemed to be a cyst at my ultrasound. So he did tell me that, hey, we'll give you the shot. It's called Lupron, and it's basically kickstarting menopause in your system. And you're going to have the very basic side effects. You might get a couple headaches, or maybe it could be like migraines. You'll have hot flashes or night sweats, but it's no big deal. I can always give you something to counteract the side effects of that. And I was like, okay, great, but why am I going to go on Lupron if we're trying to conceive, if we want to get pregnant? He's like, well, I recommend that you take the Lupron to kind of give your body a chance to calm down, and for the endometriosis to just kind of stay where we left it at when it came to the surgery. I removed as much as I found. I cleaned up what I could, and we want to keep it that way so you internally can finish healing properly before putting your body through the process of childbearing. And that seemed reasonable to me, and I discussed it with my husband, and he was there from many of those appointments. And we came home and we talked about it, and we were like, what, yeah, maybe he has a point. I did go through a lot. Everything was all screwy in there, and let's just get my body into the best physical form that it can be, internally speaking. So yeah, I went ahead. I told the doctor, give me the prescription. We called it in, got my Lupron shot. We chose for the 6-month dose. That way I could finish healing from surgery, and I could resolve the digestive issues that I was having, that I could give myself time with my work, because At the time, I had already missed so much time from work that I didn't want to get pregnant and then possibly have a pregnancy that was difficult and miss more work and risk losing my job. So I was like, you know what? 6 months is not a big deal. Comes and goes in the blink of an eye. So we'll take the shot. I'll deal with a couple side effects. If they really become that uncomfortable, like the doctor said, he said he could give me something to help me deal with, cope with it. So, you know, we went for it. We did it. And it started working out, I want to say a little on the slow side. The first thing that I noticed, and now that I look back as I'm telling you guys this, that should have been my first red flag, that I should have looked into this medication a little deeper than just taking my doctor's word for it. But, you know, ignorance and just the thrill of the fact that I had a diagnosis and something to do about it just blinded me. It really did. About a month in, I want to say about a month in, I started feeling really bad. It was just really moody and really, it was a roller coaster, really. It's just so much to describe and explain that it just doesn't do it justice on video. I did get the night sweats. I had massive migraines. I experienced constipation beyond what I can describe. I would go, you know, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days without being able to have a bowel movement. And when I did, it was extremely, extremely, extremely painful. And if I got a period, granted, Lupron stops you from getting a period. It's almost like continuous birth control, or like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just, you know, do your research. I'll post some links below for Lupron. So if you have questions or need guidance or just more information, I'll get you some links and I'll post them below so you guys could educate yourself and learn more about Lupron directly from the source, because I can only speak from my own personal experience. Yeah, so like I was saying, for a while, the Lupron did work. My periods were 97% non-existent. I did have breakthrough bleeding or spotting. If I had a very active day or week, I would have a day or two where it was just, it wasn't like a heavy full flow, but I couldn't do without something in my underwear to protect from staining. And, you know, I was having a lot of nightmares, and the night sweats were horrible because it was around springtime that I took the shot, and then the spring and summer came, and the night sweats were ridiculous. And then I wasn't just getting the night sweats at night. When I would have a hot flash throughout the day, the night sweat would kick in and I would sweat profusely, like through my clothing. It wasn't to the level like if you're exercising and, like, you know, you've got the ring here and the armpits going. It wasn't that serious, but it was enough to me, like, oh, I gotta get my hair. Oh, someone get me a clip. Oh my God, hair off my face, hair off my neck, off my ears. You know, it was just that bad. And, you know, my husband, who was very supportive in that bit of my journey, was like, oh, you want some ice cream? Do you want me to get you some iced coffee, or maybe a smoothie? And, you know, I did what I could to cope with the hot flashes and the night sweats, but it became unbearable. And then with the migraines, I couldn't function. By the end of the day, I was exhausted. I was just tired, and I couldn't function 100%. That's how it felt. Like, before surgery, I was not well. I was ill. I was getting sick quite often. I was going through all these crazy things. And then I had surgery, and the hope and the desire to get better afterwards with my recovery, it went pretty well. It was intense and long. It was a hard recovery, but it went well. Lupron became like a Band-Aid solution. Like, you know what? This isn't working. I can't take this. I went back for another for another appointment with my doctor to discuss, like, hey, you know what, like this Lupron isn't doing it for me. Like, how soon after the dose wears off can I actually start trying to conceive? And he's like, well, it's a 6-month dose, so I would say about 7 months you can go ahead, just to make sure it's out of your system. So at the time, like I said, I was taking his word for it. I wasn't really doing much research or educating myself or asking many questions, because in reality, like, what questions do you ask? I've never heard of this disease before. I didn't know how it could affect someone's life. And, you know, he had limited information, so he really couldn't educate me 100%. So, you know, I can't really hold him responsible and accountable for not educating me 100%, because he himself was not educated 100%. So I asked him, like, is this something that just happens to people, like how cancer just happens? Or is it something that's hereditary? Like, could I have gotten this from my mom or from my grandma or something? Like, does it pass down the generations? And at the moment, he said that there really was no way to tell. There was no test that could be done. There was nothing, no research showing how endometriosis happens. His personal opinion was that you're just born that way. Considering that, you know, I was stuck between, you get pregnant now, you have a hysterectomy, or you continue Lupron. I was like, well, I don't want a hysterectomy, and this Lupron is really hard to deal with. You know, it's basically like they were telling me, do you want to stump your toe or hit your shin? I don't want either. You know, I don't, they both hurt equally bad. They both suck in their own right. So no, I don't want a hysterectomy, and I don't want the Lupron. I grew up desiring all these children. So the next step for me was, I'm not going to do all those things that you're giving me as an option. I want to get pregnant. And he was like, well, in that case, you need to see a fertility doctor. I'm like, what? I'm infertile? Like, no, this is not, I don't need a fertility doctor. What are you talking about? Like, in my mind, a fertility doctor, like, that's only for women who have problems. I don't have a problem. Like, no, I was in such denial in the moment that those words came out of his mouth. And I came home, and I think I cried for like a good 23 minutes, because this is not supposed to be happening to me. I'm young. I didn't do anything to deserve this. That's the mentality, the mindset, the thoughts that I had in that moment. And I didn't want to see a fertility doctor. I just want to have fun with my husband and miraculously get pregnant like everyone else does, you know? And again, that's how I felt in the moment. So it was very difficult to come to terms with the fact that trying to conceive naturally and organically and as fun and intimately as possible is not going to happen. So we had to come to terms with that very, very like quick and fast and in a hurry, because he told me, as bad as your endometriosis is, you're going to get it again. It's going to happen. And you only have one ovary. Do you want to really take a chance to get another cyst that big and then lose your other ovary? And then you can't have babies at all on your own. So it scared me. And I was like, okay, fine. I'll do the fertility specialist. I will go see him, and, you know, he was like, don't worry, it's not the end of the world. He did, you know, comfort us and guide us as best as he could. And we went ahead and we went to see the fertility specialist, a great group of people, another great doctor. And, you know, he saw my history, he saw the pathology reports, he took a look at everything that my doctor sent to him. And he said, wow, like your endometriosis is pretty severe. So here are your options, 1, 2, and 3. You basically take this medicine that makes you ovulate and you try to conceive normally. or you take this medicine and then you take this other medicine to make you ovulate, and we can time it, and then we can do intrauterine fertilization, or we can do the IVF, which we retrieve the eggs, we grab the sperm, we throw it in the pots, and we make a soup, and you have a baby. Well, he didn't say it like that, but you know, I'm trying to make light of it because it's really difficult for me to talk, and I'm still in a little bit of denial about it. But yeah, so it's just really difficult subject for me to talk about without getting emotional. I don't want to get emotional on video. That's not what you need to see. So you know, we came home, we talked about it, we discussed like our options. I was like, I don't really want to try IVF because that's really invasive. Like that's not what I need. It's not what I want. This is not going to happen to me. I didn't grow up planning on IVF. I grew up planning on naturally and organically and very happily having fun with my husband and having a baby like that, you know? So, yeah, that was difficult. But looking at the reality of things and seeing the severity of the endometriosis and how, you know, how if I go 1, 2, 3 months with a regular period, and it could potentially happen overnight, or it could take another 10 years for me to develop another endometrioma that large. I was like, you know what? I think that the best bet would be to take the medication. I believe the name was Clomid. And we took that, and then they gave me a shot, which I don't remember. It's a shot that you have to basically administer yourself, or you could come into the office and they'll administer it for you. And then we'll try intrauterine fertilization. And the doctor says, like, hey, you know, like, don't feel like this cuts out your intimacy amongst you guys. That's not something that you should stop, especially because you're trying to conceive. And, you know, he helped us. It wasn't like he was making fun of it, but, you know, he eased our worries in such a way that we could relax and not stress so much about this new journey that we were about to start. So, you know, we did a couple of rounds of the Clomid and the intrauterine fertilization, and it wasn't quite working out. I wasn't ovulating. But then the last round, I think we did 3 rounds of that whole little process. And the last round, everything was looking really well. You know, you go in for the ultrasounds to see if you're ovulating, if things are looking this way, that way. And before I even started, I kind of jumped ahead of the gun here. Before I started all of that, they did testing to make sure that my fallopian tubes, like, you know, everything was in order, that everything could travel where it needs to travel. You know, sperm and egg can meet up and, you know, do their little thing. And everything in those tests came out really well. So, you know, he felt that the choice we made was actually going to be successful for us. So, so we did those rounds and everything. The last one, we were really hopeful. We were very excited, you know, because I actually ovulated the way I needed to. And he said there was actually a few follicles present at the time of the ultrasound. She's like, so, you know, not only is there a very high chance, a very, very high chance that you can get pregnant, but it could result in multiple pregnancy. He's like, is that a problem? I was like, oh, no, because I want a lot of kids. And I mean, I'm obviously not trying to have 8 babies in one shot. That's really draining on many levels. And But if that's what's going to happen because of the choices that I'm making, I am more than happy to accept the responsibility of a multiple pregnancy and multiple birth. So, everything had the green light. We went for it. We were super ecstatic. We kind of celebrated a little bit. And, we did the whole going out after the doctor to a little special dinner. And he was like, all right, we want to see you back in a couple days because the way things look, you could be pregnant. And I was like, yay, this is science we're messing with here, so I'm going to take the doctor's word for it. But, I'm a believer, and I put it all up to, God. And, I said, whatever your will be, then, it will be. And, I just have to accept it. And, but regardless, we went out, we celebrated a little bit, and we didn't do anything crazy, just went out for a little dinner, and came home, and we went to bed early, and it was a lovely evening. And the next morning, everything was fine. I'm starting to feel, I don't feel different. It's not like, oh, I think I'm pregnant. I didn't wake up the next morning going, oh, I know I'm pregnant. No. But I guess I was just really hopeful that this was going to be the last time I have to go through this process to try to conceive. Even if it's just one more baby. I just want this one more baby, and that's it. That's fine. I'll have 2 children, and everything will be perfect because we'll be a family of 4, and our family will be complete. And you grow up hearing these things as a kid, like, oh, we're having our 2nd child. Now our family will be complete. So, that's how I felt. And I think it was whatever the few days or week, my mind, my memory fails me now. But whatever the time was that I needed to go back to my doctor to have the pregnancy test, I want to say it was a week, but I could be wrong. And I wake up that morning, and like I said, I had already missed a lot of work. And I was like, you know what? I woke up really early today. I'm just going to go to work. I'm going to call the doctor's office and say, can I come after work to have my test? And they said, sure, that's not a problem. Because if it took, it took. And, the test was just going to show it regardless of when. But they wanted to give me that peace of mind, a definitive answer. Yes, you're pregnant, or no, it didn't work this time. Let's try it again. So, I woke up early, got dressed, I spruced myself up, put on some heels. I was feeling pretty, left for work early, and I got into a car accident. I remember driving. I was on the highway, beautiful sunny day, sunny morning, and in October of 2008. And remember, I had surgery in March. And in October, I was going for the IVF. So I think it was the second. Did I say third or second? I think it was the second. I may have said third a little while ago, but it was the second round. You know what? I don't even remember because it was such an emotionally draining part of my journey that I blocked out a lot of that information. It's written down somewhere in a book, and I haven't looked at it ever. I wrote it down, I closed the book, never looked at it again because I just couldn't deal with that. But I was on the highway, and I look ahead as I'm driving, and the traffic was slowing down. I'm like, looks like there's some traffic. Maybe there's an accident. Who knows? So I slow down, I remember being on the highway and we came to a complete stop. It wasn't anything abrupt. It wasn't anything crazy. You know, it wasn't sudden. You could see that everybody was slowing down. So you slow down and then you come to a stop. And I stopped, look in my rearview mirror. Boom. Not even 2 seconds of looking into my rearview mirror, I got rear-ended. So thank God for me, I was alone in the car and, you know, I didn't break a leg. I didn't die. I'm here. So, you know, as tragic as that crash was, I'm here. I'm struggling still from it a little bit, but I'm here. And, you know, so we go through all that entire process, you know, and from the hospital, we call the IVF office. You know, I think 2 or 3 days later, we did go to the fertility doctor, and he does the ultrasound and the blood testing and the this and the poking and the prodding and just checking everything, and pregnancy didn't take. As awesome as things were looking up until the day of the car crash, the pregnancy didn't take. And what he explained to me is that even though everything was looking really well, and all the stuff that they measure when they draw your blood and all the stuff that they can see in the ultrasound, like it didn't take. He's like, it could have been possible that the severity of your car crash was the reason you didn't get pregnant. And I was like, oh my God, like seriously. And, you know, I had a concussion. I had herniated and bulging discs because of the car crash. And, you know, I ended up going through therapy and chiropractic care and just months of a lot of healing, emotional and mentally, physical, spiritual. Oh, it was a very difficult time in my life. I remember after the car crash and after that doctor's appointment, it was a Tuesday. I called out Monday. I called out whatever those few days, and then the Monday to try and like just get okay to, you know, go to work. And I called out the last little bit of time that I could. And I showed up to work on Tuesday, and I could barely walk. I was in that much pain. I couldn't stand up straight. It was hard to breathe. I ended up getting my period because I didn't get pregnant, and it just kicked my ass to kingdom come, man. It was horrible. And, you know, about 15 to 20 minutes into work, you know, I went over to my boss's office and I was like, you know what? I'm going home. I came in to try and do my work. I mean, it is just sitting there, customer service on the phone, but I can't function at all. I can't. She was like, well, if you can't stay, she'd say, all right, go ahead. I understand. Or talk to so-and-so. They'll see. None of that stuff. I went into my boss's office hoping that she'd be a little understanding and empathetic. And it didn't happen. I don't know. I think she just didn't agree with whatever it was. But whatever. So I went home, and 2 days later, I got a letter in the mail saying, due to all of the latenesses and the absenteeism and just due to all the time I've missed from work, we can no longer hold your position. You've already used up all your FMLA, your short-term disability. And at the end of the letter said, if you still wish to retain your job, you must request a personal leave of absence from your boss. And if they approve it, we will hold your position or one equal to for when you come back. The end. That's what the letter said. And I cried my eyes out for like an hour and a half. I couldn't believe it. So I contacted the job. I requested to speak with her and she was unavailable. I requested to speak to some other supervisor and they all told me, you need to speak with her. No one else can help you. I was like, well, let me talk to someone in HR. And HR told me, well, we really can't handle that. That's not our department. But what you can do is submit something in writing. And we'll pass it on to her. And she will either call you or write you back. I was like, okay, that's fair. And so I pleaded my case, sent it in, got another letter saying your request was denied. And as of this date, you are no longer with this company. And I was devastated because this was a job that I really loved. I loved the work that I did there. I was really good at it, really, really good at it. And I had just finished writing my application up, an essay and everything to go for my MBA through the company. And I lost my job because I called out many times because of a period. I called out many times because I couldn't get out of bed because of my period. Or I would leave early sick to my stomach because of my period. There were times that I would pass out at work. I think it happened 2 to 3 times. Let me see, there was when one of my cysts ruptured at work and when I passed out from the flu shot at work. And I think there was a third time there was just a really bad situation. And yeah, so it was 3 times that I was sent to the hospital from work for the same, basically for the same health issues. And so all of that did not bode well for me. And I lost my job. So 2008 for me was a year where it was challenging. I'm still dealing with the side effects from Lupron till this day. I still get hot flashes and night sweats and migraines, and I get joint pain and constipation and the moodiness. Oh my gosh, I can feel like a transformation happening, something that I just cannot stop. And to this day, this was in 2008, my first shot. And to this day, I deal with those side effects. Then I did the whole trying to conceive and that roller coaster of emotions. And then, 2008, I lost my job. And that's when the housing market was starting to become really volatile if it wasn't already. Again, my memory fails me. And eventually, that affected my husband's work, all of that stuff, because he was having to call out from work in order to take care of me. Because I mean, seriously, literally, I'd get a period, I'd wake up, he'd have to pick me up off the bed, put me on the computer chair, wheel me over to the bathroom, get me out of the computer chair, and sit me on the toilet just so I could go pee. That's what endometriosis has done to me. Every time I get a flare-up, that's basically what happens. And yes, over the years, I've developed a higher tolerance for pain because of it. I'm basically becoming tougher than a $2 cheap-ass $2 steak. Because everything that I've been through and having to cope with it with Band-Aid solutions, only making matters worse and then compounding on top of each other. Man, I tell you, I don't know how I've made it this far. And then, around all of the things that I experienced in 2008 with surgery, with Lupron, trying to conceive, needing a fertility specialist to intervene with that, and a car accident, man, I tell you, you learn who your friends are real fast and in a hurry. Yeah, so I got so into this video that I didn't even realize my battery was dying and it just cut off there. So I'm sorry about that. But I have no words for 2008. 2008 sucked. That's what that is. It sucked. You know, you find out that you've been battling an illness that no one believes you have. It affects your daily life in ways you never thought something could. It affects those around you. I mean, this is not just affecting me, it's affecting my husband, it's affecting my child. And yes, we have lots of family and a lot of friends, but a lot of our friends are now non-existent because of everything we went through that year. We lost quite a few friendships. Out of the group that there's maybe like 3 left. So, you know, with that entire journey, we ended up developing relationships with different people. And those new friends, man, guys, I really love you all so freaking much. You have no idea. And yeah, my husband, he's quite the guy. He's really special, very supportive, and loving and caring. And I don't give him enough credit for everything that he does when Whew, sorry about that. I don't give him enough credit for everything that he does. A lot falls on his plate when I'm out of commission. And, you know, and my kid, an amazing, equally amazing little person. She was about, I want to say, 5 to 6 years old when all of this happened. And her little world came tumbling down, you know. My mom is sick and I can't have no sisters or no brothers. I can't be an older sister. Like, what type of nonsense is that, you know? I'm pretty sure she was just as upset as we were and not being able to properly express it. And so, you know, we did grieve a little bit for a little while, but it was that much more difficult because we couldn't really talk to people about it. The people that we talked to just couldn't understand, why is it that I'm such a wimp when it comes to my period? You're just making it bigger than what it is. Like, just go out, distract your mind, have some fun, drink a little wine, take your mind off of things, and you'll be fine. I mean, these were things that we were actually told, that I was directly told by many people that are in an extremely close relationship to me, because they just couldn't understand it. And in a way, I can't really blame them because I didn't understand it and I'm the one living like this. You know what I'm saying? So it was difficult. It's like, well, you know, why don't you just get surgery to get everything taken out? Hello, I'm trying to have a baby here. We want a bigger family. My kid wants a sibling. We want more children. That is not an option. Well, then why don't you just get IVF? I mean, what you did before didn't work, so you obviously need IVF like full force. Do you have $10,000 to give me so I can make the payments to have another child? No? Okay, quiet. You can keep it moving. I mean, seriously. Oh, well, you know what? Just adopt. If you just adopt, you know how many babies are out in the world that no one wants? That's pretty hurtful to tell someone. Yes, I can have the United Nations in my house and adopt all the children in the world. But guess what? Part of the adoption process means that you have to tell them your medical history and how reliable of a human being you are. And endometriosis doesn't make you all that reliable, does it? If you know someone going through all the challenges that endometriosis can bring to their life, just listen with an open heart, with an open mind, without judgment. And don't do the whole at least blah, blah, blah. Anyone who's suffering from fertility issues, don't put them through things that are similar to that. You know, the at least you had one child. That's one that I'd still to this day hear. Well, at least you had a baby. But then I get the people that go, well, at least you only have one. If you had 2 or 3 running around, you'd go crazy. I don't know how I deal with these kids. You have no idea. Me personally, that actually angers me. It does. I don't say anything to people. This is the first time I'm actually admitting it to anyone, even to myself out loud, because you chose to have more children. You chose that craziness. You chose it. I don't have that choice. That choice was taken away from me. Yeah, now I'm angry. I'm like crying before, now I'm angry. I need another moment. If you have endometriosis, whether you've been recently diagnosed, have not been diagnosed and suspected, feel that maybe your symptoms are similar to the things that maybe I describe, or if you click on any of the links that I provide you guys and, read through that information and think like, oh, I might have endo, or maybe you were diagnosed ages ago, who knows? Whatever your treatment options are, ask questions, talk to your doctor, let them know, you know what, I don't know what this is. I don't understand any of it. I need more information. Where can I find more? Because if your doctor does not have the ability to give you the information, because they themselves don't have it, they can at least point you in the right direction. And don't take your doctor's word as law. Don't do that. I did that. I regret it a little tiny bit. It's not the end of the world, but I should have asked more questions. I didn't. I took the Lupron shot 3 times, each a 6-month dose. And it was not a good thing for me to do that. That is something I actually regret. If I would have known the information, and it was there, it was out there, I just didn't know how to get it. I didn't think of asking about it. I didn't think to ask any kind of question to learn that information. And I put my body through something that I could have prevented had I been informed. So this video is to inform you that you need to ask questions. Yeah, so I think I'm going to end it here. This video was kind of like choppy and all over the place, only because it's an emotional one for me. It's tough to remember that year. I don't remember all of it. Like I said, I wrote a lot of stuff down in a book, closed it, put it away. So a lot of my memory is fuzzy. A lot of it has been completely blocked as a coping mechanism to be able to move forward. And sometimes it creeps up on me, and it actually did on this video a couple times. And it hits and hurts just as bad as the first time. So yeah, thank you for staying this long and watching this video. And thank you for hearing me out. And know that you're not alone. You're not going through this alone. It might feel like it at times. You might get desperate. But please, please, please check out the links that are in the description box. There are so many resources out there. There are people you can talk to. There are support groups and there's a lot of resources. There's a lot of resources. Use them. They're there. So again, thank you for stopping into my channel today. Thank you for hearing me rant a little bit and share my story. And, you know, I send out good vibes and big hugs, big squishy hugs, and, you know, comforting. And I throw the prayers up and I toss the glitter and do a rain dance. Also, it could turn out okay for you guys. If you're going through something, feel free to share your story with me. You know, I know what it's like to need someone when you feel alone, and I don't want you to feel that way. So I'll see you guys in the next Endo Story video, and that guy will go up at the end of March. If I look at my calendar here, that guy will go up on the last Monday of March, and that's the 28th. So I'll see you guys on the 28th of March in my next Endo Story video. Bye.